All right, back inside the Pirate Radio Zoom room, brought to you by Toby Williams and his team at Cellular Warehouse. You can call 252-799-7051. And don't worry about waiting around your local U.S. Cellular store. Toby Williams can take care of you. Also, White Claw Hard Seltzer. Nothing tastes quite like it. Proudly distributed by Coastal Beverage Company. We are joined in the Zoom room today by former ECU head basketball coach Mack McCarthy. Coach Mack, good to see you. How you doing?
It's good to see you, Mr. Cliff. I know you all are busy down there. It's that time of year where you got several sports going on at once and lots of news in addition to.
Yes, sir. Kind of wish we had another football game after seeing what ECU did to SMU last week. But
that was an eye-opener.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, we're going to get you on and talk about college basketball, and we'll talk a little Pirates, but we got to start with kind of the state of college basketball right now. And how much have you been able to watch, and how different has it looked to you this season as opposed to previous years when we're not going through this pandemic? Well, what's the biggest changes you've seen so far?
Well, obviously the visuals of watching a game are really different with no or very few fans in the stands, the seating arrangements for the media, the seating arrangements for the teams. All that is visually very different. I've done a half dozen games so far on television. And to be honest, once the game starts, I don't notice that anymore. It was kind of like the NASCAR races. Yeah, the fans weren't there and the stands were empty, but once the race starts or once the game starts, I really don't know that. I really don't notice it. But the things I do notice are obviously the number of teams that are shut down, the number of games that have been canceled or postponed, or some mixture of those two things. We're postponing it, but it'll probably be canceled. All that's kind of disconcerting. And basketball was supposed to have a big advantage over football in that we were going to be further down the road to getting better. Instead, it's literally just the opposite. There are more cases, there are more hospitalizations, there are more deaths. And it seems to be even more out of control than it did during football. By the time we got to basketball, things were supposed to be looking a little bit better. They pushed the basketball start back 15 days from when the normal start is in early December to November the 25th. I'm very concerned about what it's going to look like going forward. I've got my fingers crossed. Football has gotten through it almost. It looks like we will reach the end of football season. And of course, the two things that drove both of these decisions were the money situation, football with the television money, and basketball with the March Madness money, because that literally is 95 to 98% of the NCAA's operating budget, the money that they get paid for having March Madness. So the focus is going to be on getting to that finish line for basketball.
Coach, I know you've been busy calling games. Have you done all those games on location, or are you in a booth somewhere? Jeff Charles and Cy Seymour called the Charlotte game right here in Greenville. How about you?
Well, I have been doing games live and in person in the arena. And it started out, we were going to be across campus in a football stadium or the baseball stadium and watching it on monitors. Then we were going to be in the arena, but we were going to be in a crow's nest. But they finally settled on, with ESPN's permission, to be 25 feet from the court. We can't go to the court for any reason. We have to enter at a different level and stay 25 feet plus from the court. We have to stay 10 to 12 feet apart while we're doing the game. It's awkward looking, but to be honest, it's a great view of the court and really better for calling the game, if I'm going to be 100% honest. And I feel really lucky that we are there in person and not having to do it remotely.
Coach, I'm fascinated by scheduling. ECU has played 2 games, and they weren't on the schedule to start the season. They picked up a game with Charlotte last week. They picked up a game with NC Wesleyan, I believe, last weekend, and were able to get that one in on Tuesday. So I don't know. What's that like for a coach right now? Cy Seymour said yesterday when we talked to him on Pirate Radio Live, ECU scheduled to play Radford on Saturday. He imagines that Joe Dooley already has some contingency plans. If that one is not able to be played, he's already got some other teams lined up. How are these coaches handling this right now?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I am so glad that I'm not coaching in this situation because preparing for an opponent is a big challenge, a big part of the game, and now you really are forced to focus just on yourself and,
Right.
and hope you know a little bit about the opponent. Virginia Tech had a game canceled with Temple and at 1:45 in the morning they found out they were going to play Villanova within 24 hours and turned around and beat the number 3 team in the country. Who knew? Maybe all this scouting and advanced scheduling was useless. You look at the football situation. Liberty cancels this morning their game at Coastal Carolina, and now Brigham Young is going to be in Myrtle Beach on the boardwalk to play the Chanticleers Saturday. So, all this stuff about football schedules being done so far in advance, and you're scheduling 4 and 5 and 6 and sometimes 10 years out, all that was unnecessary, wasn't it?
It appears so. I guess we can just schedule games by the seat of our pants moving forward. Coach, I remember talking to you at the end of last season. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in the entire season, but all the number ones that we saw in the AP Top 25 last year, we've already seen, as you said, Villanova goes down, Virginia loses to San Francisco. This year, with all the craziness going on, I wouldn't be shocked if we see double-digit number 1 teams again. I mean, Gonzaga looks really good, but I don't know how this whole thing's going to play out with no fans and the pop-up schedules and everything.
No, I think there is going to be more unpredictability, if you will, and it bodes well for us fans, rooting for chaos and competitive games. But again, not a good position for the coaches. You see Texas beat Carolina last night. You mentioned San Francisco beating Virginia Tech beating the number 3 team in the country. That's 2 years in a row. They beat Michigan State last year in Mike Young's first year, and then they beat Villanova this year. It really is just going to be chaos, and play as many games as you can and get to March Madness and bubble them all up, bubble all 68 teams up somewhere and see if you can get through the thing and the NCAA get that nice check.
Coach, East Carolina 2-0, and Jaden Gardner, and everything goes through him. My scouting report right now on ECU is Jaden Gardner, and hopefully they can hit some threes. They couldn't last year. They did on Tuesday. That's really going to be the key to see if they can kind of get to the middle of the pack there in the American, which, as you know, is really maybe one of the most underrated, one of the best leagues in college basketball.
And college football, right?
Yeah, and college football as well.
Yeah, Joe has steadily built this thing, and last year he added a lot of size and athleticism, and now he's got more size, athleticism, and skill. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make a pretty good jump. He's had a long road to hoe, and he is chipping away at it a piece at a time, doing it the right way. And I was excited when he got the job for this exact reason. You knew he was going to get this group headed in the right direction. And with all the challenges of this year, outside of just building a program that hasn't honestly been very good, it's really amazing. And he and his staff deserve a lot of credit for getting them headed in the right direction.
Coach, obviously you know how tough the job is at ECU. One issue over the years, no matter who's been the coach, is player retention. And with guys transferring and leaving the program, this year everybody's back. You can't say that a lot of years for ECU basketball. I think in a season like this with a lot of the unknown, that is a huge advantage, right? Having a team that knows each other, has played together a lot.
For quite a while, since this one and done started and the transfer portal, experience means more than ever. If you can keep a group together, you get a chance to have a really special year, and you're going to see it at all levels. You're going to see it at the very highest levels. Those teams that have some experience, look at a talented team like Kentucky, getting beat by Richmond, then getting beat again by Kansas, and you're going to see a whole lot of that. Teams that have some continuity and roster stability like Joe has developed here, that's going to be really big because with waivers and the the NIL and all the other things, the transfer portal being a 4-letter word, all those things going on. For everybody to be back on the team is just like, that's defying all odds, and good for them.
Yeah, you're right. Coach, before we let you go, do we need to change the championship NASCAR rule since Kevin Harvick won all those races and ended up not even in the top 4 this year? What do we got? What do we got to do?
Well, we've had this discussion before. It's not the best way to determine a champion, for sure. It's not the best way to determine the best driver for any particular year, but it is really exciting. Much to my chagrin, it was exciting.
No doubt. Coach, thanks so much. Great to talk with you. We'll catch up with you later on this college basketball season. If people want to see you, what's your schedule like? What games are you going to be calling here soon?
Oh, gosh. I'm on the ACC Network Extra, which is the digital version of the ACC Network for the most part. And I've got a game Sunday against Virginia Tech Gardner-Webb for women. And then I start ACC play next week with Pittsburgh at Virginia Tech. I've done a couple of men's games too, but mostly I've been on the women's side up there. Then I'll be picking some other games up. Maybe we'll have some local games to pick up and that we can talk about next time we're on.
Sounds great. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you joining us. That's Mack McCarthy inside the Zoom room, brought to you by Cellular Warehouse and White Claw Hard Seltzer. We'll see you next time.